Today's question is a bit of a juicy one. What does driving a 200-mile-an-hour Jaguar feel like? Well, to help try and answer it, I get to test this, the new F-Type SVR, on the smooth roads here in Catalonia. It's the first ever Jaguar to get the Special Vehicle Operations treatment, the crack team within JLR responsible for making ultra-luxurious or high-performance versions of its existing models. It also happens to be the most powerful series production Jaguar ever built. The SVR comes in two distinct flavours, a coupe and a convertible. We'll be driving the hardtop because it's just that teensy bit faster, and trying to tell you a bit about what raises this car over and above the standard V8R and turns it, Jaguar says, into a 100 grand all-weather supercar.
The first thing SVO did was put the F-Type on a diet. It's 25 kilos lighter than the F-Type R thanks to a set of forged 20-inch alloys that save 13.8 kilos and a brand new exhaust system. It's made of titanium and Inconel, proper racing car technology. It's a split rear silencer, saving another 16 kilos. If you want your SVR even slimmer than that, then ticking the option boxes for carbon ceramic brakes and a carbon fibre roof shaves off another 25 kilos. Those brakes are massive, by the way, with front discs nearly 40 centimetres across. Bigger than any dinner plate you or I have ever eaten off. You'll also notice the aerodynamic upgrades, with carbon bonnet vents, wider air intakes, strakes down the flanks and an adjustable spoiler, all present and correct.
So like most hard-charging Jaguars of the past few years, the SVR has at its heart a 5-litre supercharged V8 engine. In this particular car, it's running the same state of tune as the Project 7 from a few years ago, that limited edition that was built as a heritage to the D-Type. And if your memory's a little foggy, then that means 567 brake horsepower and a fairly whopping 516 pounds-foot of torque. That is the same figure exactly as the 911 Turbo S. And like the Turbo S, the ultimate F-Type is four-wheel drive only. That four-wheel drive system can send up to 100% of its power to the rear axle, or split it 50-50 across the two, depending on how much grip there is. There's been some changes to that four-wheel drive system, as well as the DSC, the torque vectoring across the rear axle, and plenty of other suspension changes, including some changes to the front and rear roll bars, softer at the front and stiffer at the back, and that's supposed to help turn in and make this car just feel a little bit sharper, a little bit more agile. There's also new rear suspension knuckles and some other changes, but the long and short of it is it means it can charge off the line that bit quicker, so 0 to 60 miles an hour now takes 3.5 seconds, about the same as an Audi R8. And it'll go on to hit that magic 200 mile an hour top speed with enough room. However, you are definitely going to hear it coming way before you see it coming, even finished in this bright blue that you can remember from the XK-RS and XF-RS of a few years ago. And that is because of that trick new lightweight exhaust system. This thing at the top end is just so loud, and it makes such an addictive noise. It sounds like a NASCAR that you just want to rev it and rev it. And on down changes under brakes, you can hear all the usual histrionics. It's really not a very subtle car, but it is addictively loud if you like that sort of thing. Better yet, the tips of that exhaust glow bright blue when they get really, really hot, which just adds a nice motorsport vibe to this whole car. The big question though is whether this car really gives you any more in terms of handling than the standard F-Type R. And the short answer to that probably is no. Although the small changes that they have made do start to add up to something if you really concentrate. It's more of a subtle effect than a huge leap in performance and grip. Those lightweight forged wheels are wearing wider, stickier tyres that are bespoke from Pirelli. Just gives you that bit more of extra mechanical grip mid-corner, and there is loads of grip to lean on in here. The steering is also a little bit more direct. It feels quite darty on turn-in, although in normal mode this car still feels like quite a big soft GT. So you turn in, you've got that quick darty steering and the nose moves, but then the suspension takes a second to react, and that can make it feel a little bit frisky. If you flick the dynamic mode switch down here though, and you definitely feel everything tighten up. That extra stiffness at the rear axle makes itself a bit more apparent, and the carbon fibre rear spoiler at the back also pops into its top position. I'm not 100% convinced by the looks of that rear spoiler though. I have to say that the standard F-Type Coupe is one of the most beautiful cars on sale in my opinion, and I think adding a set of horns to its arse don't necessarily improve those looks, but you can tell me what you think by leaving your comments in the section below. And we had a brief go on the track earlier, and when I was doing 175 braking into the end of the main straight, I definitely felt like I needed as much downforce as possible. This car gets quite squirrely under brakes at that speed, and you can feel it lift and the rear axle just go a little bit light as you hit the brakes hard. All the cars we've tried have also been on the optional carbon ceramics, and they've got good pedal feel, but they did start to get quite hot after we'd done a few of those laps of the track. I think overall you can say that these changes do add up to a bit of a difference. This is probably the best driving F-Type you can buy, and so it should be. I said at the start it's a 100 grand supercar, but the coupe starts £110,000, while you pay 5.5 grand more for the convertible. That feels like quite a lot of money, and yet at the same time it's also a bit of a bargain, because all the other cars with this level of performance, whether it be the Turbo S, the Audi R8 V10 Plus, all cost £20,000–30,000 more than this Jag. So you could sort of say it's a bargain, if you like. So what do we think of this, the F-Type SVR? Well, it's quite similar in character to its donor car, unlike the Range Rover Sport SVR, which feels like quite a different beast to its donor model. Having said that, I'm glad we had extra time on the track, because that is where you really appreciate those suspension changes and can exploit the extra power. Now, in the review I've compared this to the R8 and to the 911 Turbo S, but actually there's one other rival which feels much more similar, the Mercedes AMG GT. Both of them look great, both have great V8 power and are properly noisy on the overrun, but the thing is with the Jag, you get an extra 64 brake horsepower and it's exactly the same price, pretty much, as the Mercedes.